Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for the best preview of the year. It's the Qatar Goodwood Festival 2022 preview. This video is going to come in a two-part special. This video obviously out now, and our second part video will be out on Monday night, and you'll get to enjoy that. We'll be previewing the final 3 days, and on today's episode we'll be looking at the first 2 days of the festival, which will include the Goodwood Cup and the Sussex Stakes. And no, don't adjust your eyes, we're not on Love Island, we're outdoors in the summer studio. We're really looking forward to this week. Jack, it's our favourite week of the year, we absolutely love it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you?
Probably about 25. Thank God we're not on Love Island. We wouldn't last very long, would we? But yeah, it's a cracking week. We've got cracking weather lined up. We have been notorious for getting the forecast all wrong. We're going to have good to firm ground, hopefully. Hopefully, without a thunderstorm, there'll be good to firm ground. The sun will be shining, and hopefully we'll have a good week.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I mean, last year we really did struggle, didn't we, with the rain coming the day before, and we had a few horses pulled out that we didn't want to, and we'll get onto the Lennox in a minute, which was a disappointing one for us this year. Hopefully things will change this year. Looking forward to previewing that one. And we do have a special guest on the channel for our two previews. Unfortunately, she's not going to be here on the sofas with us, but she is joining us virtually. It's our new international racing expert, Olivia Cole. Olivia, are you looking forward to the festival? It's going to be a cracking week, isn't it?
I can't quite believe it's Goodwood already. It feels like Royal Ascot was yesterday. I blinked and then it was the July Cup, and now Goodwood's already here. But just so excited to be back on course next week. Yeah,
honestly, we cannot wait either. It's going to be a fantastic week. I think it's the first time that we've been on course actually since Royal Ascot. Is that right?
It is, yeah. Goodness me. It seems like a long time ago now, but I can't wait.
Yeah, it really is going to be so good. And Olivia will be giving her thoughts on all the Group 1 races, and also tell us about the international runners. You'll probably hear more about that in part 2, because there are plenty of interesting international raiders coming over for the festival. So let's kick things off then. We're going to be looking at 6 races in this preview, all of the group races on the card on the first 2 days. And the first one we kick off with is the Japan Racing Association Vintage Stakes. This is a Group 2 over 7 furlongs, and Hans Andersen is your 7-2 favourite. Holloway Boy is 4-1. Show Respect 11-2. Mysterious Night 6-1. Dear My Friend and Age of Kings 8-1, and then Bigger the rest. Jack, it's the first big race of the festival, and we get to see the 2-year-olds here. Hans Andersen's going to be an interesting one, because we only saw this horse only a few days back, and winning impressive style. Got some quotes around 20s for the 2,000 guineas. If he does turn up here, is he quite simply the one to beat?
Yes, I do think so, but at the same time, I think there's definitely a bit of the O'Brien factor about the price. I think 3-1 does look relatively short. Of course, Holloway Boy, what a story that was, winning the Chesham, but again, you don't really know what he's going to be. Mysterious Night, Show Respect, obviously their form ties in very closely in the July Stakes when they were only separated by a length behind Persian Force. It's a very tricky race, as we saw last year with Angel Bleu winning when the ground went kind of everywhere, but I think there's one or two at a price. I mean, Show Respect's 11-2 and Blue Light Bay is 14-1. Blue Light Bay actually beat Show Respect at Goodwood and finished second to the third Royal Scotsman in the Coventry that day. So it'll be interesting there. But my selection is actually going to come from the same race, the same novice race at Goodwood, but he finished 5th that day, and it's going to be GALERON for Charlie Hills and Kieran Schumark, who's 9-1 at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if you can get a double-figure price on the day. He finished 5th on the day. We were actually there on the day watching the race, but the first thing that struck me was how massive he was in the parade ring. He had such a big size. He dwarfed everything else in the parade ring, and I thought, goodness me, he's going to get a lot further than 6 furlongs. His pedigree also suggests that. I mean, but when he was 5th on debut, he was travelling delightfully, I mean, on the rail, and had to switch to about 5 wide, and then got a really easy time of it towards the end. Next time out, of course, came against one of your well-regarded fillies, Trillium of Richard Hannon, who travelled an absolute dream, but GALERON then picked her up in good style and went away at the line. Now, Trillium has since gone and bolted up and has an entry in the Molecombe, so she's very, very highly regarded. So for GALERON to do that and going away at the line was very hard to pull up that day. It was a decent final 3 furlongs. I mean, yes, this is a big jump up. The others do have the group form already, but I mean, he's screaming out for a step up in trip, and hopefully GALERON can go well at a price at 9-1.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if you like Trillium in the Molecombe itself, see if that form does stand out. It would be interesting if GALERON was to win this race here, and then maybe the money will come for Trillium in the Molecombe. We'll have to wait and see. But the horse I like, because I was texting you midweek about this race, we've been excited for the last probably 2 months really, but I was looking into the race and who could potentially go for it, and I was thinking, Jack's going to try and find one here at a price. And you text me saying I've got one at a price. And you've mentioned one at a fair price there for a 2-year-old race. But I've actually gone for one at quite a big price, of 11 to 1 in this race. One of the bigger price of the lot. And that's MARBAAN in here. Now, this horse here...
Jamie Spence?
It is, yeah. But it's an interesting one with Spence here, because this horse last time at Salisbury, he beat a horse called We Could Be Heroes for the Hughes Yard. And I looked back at the form of this horse, and this horse was in that race with Victory Dance and Bresson, the race that Victory Dance won on debut. And, you know, Victory Dance has since come out to, you know, potentially should have won the Superlative Stakes and went close. And Bresson ran a decent race in a Newbury novice last night. I think that was quite a hot race, actually, at Newbury. And I just think, like, the form of that could stand out to be very, very good. And you look at the time before, and this horse bolted up by 5 lengths. And Jamie Spence has ridden both times. And what I find interesting with this is because you'd probably expect, this 2-year-old race, you have Spencer out the back, he's on MARBAAN, but this horse is prominent. This horse led all the way when winning by 5 lengths the last day, and was you know, close up to the lead when winning the last day. And I've just got a feeling this horse could show a lot more. I think 7 furlongs is going to be absolutely ideal for this horse, and I think MARBAAN's going to run a massive race. But I do agree with you. I think if Hans Andersen does turn up, definitely the one to beat, because this horse put up a very good time. I actually think this horse is going to be a better Guineas prospect than Little Big Bear, who's been rode. But I think Little Big Bear, to me, standing out to be more of a Commonwealth Cup kind of horse. I think this horse has bundles of speed, has an entry in the Nunthorpe, but I think Hans Andersen could turn out to be a very, very good horse.
It feels like sacrilege. We've got 2 Mark Johnston runners there, unbeaten at Glorious Goodwood, and none of us have put them up.
I know, yeah, exactly, yeah. We shouldn't really have done that, but I have got one of the Johnsons later down in the preview, so don't worry about that, because he is going to have plenty of winners, and he's in flying form as well. Right, let's move on to the Lennox Stakes then. This is a 7 furlong Group 2, open to 3-year-olds and older. And Jack, before we run through the betting, can we just address what happened in last year's race? Tell our viewers what happened, who we put up, and why it all went wrong.
Well, unfortunately, we put up Space Blues to win the Lennox when we all thought it was going to be good to firm ground. It was going to be great. Creative Force had just won the Jersey on soft ground. He needs soft ground. Kim Ross needs soft ground. It's perfect. Space Blues is absolutely going to hack up. I think we got about, was it 3 to 1 at the time, napped up when we did about a week before. Of course, the heavens open. They watered the course. We had bottomless ground and Space Blues. Well, he got ridiculously unlucky and then went unbeaten for the rest of the season. So there we go. We got unlucky there, but hopefully we're going to make amends this year.
Well, we hope so. And the favourite in this race here is Sacred, 5 to 2 best price. Plenty to talk about with regards to that price in a second. Lasalle and Pogo, they're 5 to 1. Kinross is 7 to 1. Lanacash 8 to 1 and 14, and bigger the rest. Now let's talk about the price of Sacred now, because those who are regular viewers, and thank you so much to all of our regular viewers, would have seen our Goodwood anti-post preview. And Jack and I, obviously, we previewed the big races from each day, and we gave our extra selections at the end. And the one that we both agreed on was Sacred. And at the time, we put this horse up for the Lennox at 20 to 1 best price. And this price has been collapsing for the last 2 weeks now. I mean, I think it was early, what was it, only about 7 days ago, this horse was 8 to 1. We then saw the horse go about 9 to 2, and we now see this horse with some bookies going around 2 to 1 favourite, which is absolutely crazy. And I think when we spoke about this race, Jack, we had Aldari and Sacred in the race, and what we knew was that if the ground came up soft, Aldari was probably going to go here and win. If the ground was firm, Sacred was going to turn up and win. Do you still stand by that, and is Sacred going to be winning the Lennox this year?
Yes, I think she is. I mean, the more and more I've looked at the race, I mean, it's easy to say now when she's 9 to 4 favourite, best price 5 to 2. But I mean, the more and more I've looked at the race, the more I think it's just going to be absolutely perfect for her. She was second in the Flying Childers. She beat Saffron Beach in the Nell Gwyn, who we all know is a Group 1 filly. She emphatically saw off Lanacash in the Hungerford. I still think that's probably her best performance to date over 7 furlongs at Newbury. She travelled an absolute dream and showed an electric turn of foot, of course, over 7 furlongs on firm ground. I mean, she ran a great race in the Platinum Jubilee to finish staying on 5th. I was umming and ahhing whether they were going to step her up to a mile and run her in the Group Duke of Cambridge or drop her back to 6. They dropped her back to 6, and I mean, if you look at the Platinum Jubilee now, that form was just franked in the July Cup. So I mean, she's screaming out for 7 furlongs on good ground or quick ground. She's got a £3 filly allowance, and quite simply, I just think she's going to win.
No, I completely agree with you, and they've obviously kept the horse in the Sussex as well. I think they said just in case the race cuts up, potentially leave that option for the owners, but I'd probably say it's 99% sure that the Lennox is the race that this horse is going to be going with, especially with a favourite's chance now. So yeah, I can completely agree with Jack. The race last time, I think literally 7 furlongs, the horse was just crying out for it. It was a great kind of prep run for this in some ways, and Looking at the rest of the field, I mean, Pogo has been fantastic this season. Don't get me wrong, fantastic form and a really lovable horse. But Lusail, again, another horse that probably will appreciate 7 furlongs, but I just haven't really kind of gripped to Lusail. There's something about me that I don't know about you, but I just haven't really like latched onto this horse as of yet. I want to see a little bit more.
I think stepping up from the 3-year-olds against your elders, first time out, it's a big jump. Of course, he ran very well last time out in the Prix Jean Prat. Of course, in the 2000 Guineas, I thought I was umming and ahhing whether he was going to stay or not. I think 7 furlongs is perfect for him. With regards to Sacred, I think there's one slight doubt. I think she is better fresh. Of course, she was only seen 38 days ago. Her win in the Hungerford was after 100 days off. Her win before that was after 200 days off. So it'll be interesting to see if it has taken its toll on her, because she does like to run fresh. Pogo, he's a 6-year-old. Again, usually the more seasoned veterans like Kim Ross, Pogo would be able to give a good account, but I just think Sacred looks almost too good to be true.
Yeah, and Kim Ross, just with regards to his last year's winner, I mean, do you think just simply this horse is going to want the ground that he did last year?
Yeah, 100%. I can't be surprised if he actually did run. I know he finished 8th last time out at Ascot, which I thought was a great run in the Platinum Jubilee, because I don't think wants 6 furlongs at all. But I mean, I do think it's all about Sacred. He will want a soft ground. Don't get me wrong, I could see him running into a 4th or 5th perhaps. But I mean, Lusail and Sacred, hopefully Sacred's the one to beat.
Oh my God, we're going to bring the house down if Sacred wins it.
Apologies on Twitter if you are on anywhere in the Twitter sphere about an hour and a half after Sacred's run, because it's going to be horrible. It's going to be absolutely horrible scenes.
It really is, and it could be even bigger scenes come the race that we're going to preview next. And this is the big one of the day. This is the Group 1 over 2 miles. It's the Goodwood Cup, part of the British Champions Series. Let battle commence. Kyprios is your 5-4 favourite. Stradivarius, the 4-time Goodwood Cup winner, is 13-8. Trushan, still waiting for that rain to come down somewhere around here. That horse is 11-2. Coltrane, the horse who has been a bit of a train and come out of nowhere, is 8-1. Princess Zoe, a lovable horse, is 12-1 and 33-1. Bar these. We'll get Olivia's opinions in a second on this race, Jack. But we've been watching the mark. Obviously, Mojo Star, the horse that you picked out anti-post for this race, isn't going to be running. They're going for a different campaign with this horse. But with regards to the field we've got, even if we lose Trushan due to the lack of rain, it's going to be some battle, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be some battle. I mean, these are the matchups we dream of in flat racing, isn't it? I mean, Kyprios, the improving 4-year-old, unbeaten this year. It's taken everything in his stride. He proves he stays. He proves he's got a turn of foot over a staying trip. I mean, you look at those final sectionals in the Gold Cup. It almost turned into a sprint. It was remarkable. And then you've got Stradivarius, who, of course, has been unlucky after unlucky after unlucky. It's a real big shame that Frankie's not going to be on board. I keep listening to the interviews of Bjorn Nilsson. I think that's a huge shame that he's not going to be on board, because of course if it is his swan song, it would be gutting to see him not on board. But nonetheless, I do think he has a cracking chance. At the moment, at the prices, I definitely wouldn't be having a bet, because I do think Kyprios has everything in his armoury to stop Stradivarius, except the course form. Stradivarius is 4 from 4. He's an 8-year-old. He still has plenty of ability, but I think his one asset was his turn of foot, and Kyprios showed in the Gold Cup that his turn of foot probably is enough to stunt that of Stradivarius. But look, I really do hope Stradivarius can do it. We're going to be screaming the house down. I definitely won't be backing Kyprios, because I'll be hoping to scream the house down for Stradivarius. But look, I do think they've all got to beat Kyprios, and the prices suggest that.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, because obviously we haven't seen Kyprios at Goodwood before, but this horse could be absolutely anything in the staying division. Could turn out to be the next Yates, who knows. And Stradivarius, the one thing with regards to Stradivarius is we know he's got course form, and we've got Atzini booked. We haven't actually mentioned that as of yet, because, you know, Atzini's 1-2 on him, Frankie's 1-2 on him. And we know what happened the last day with Frankie and this horse, and it sounds like it was a mutual decision, and Atzini takes the ride. Do you think any punters will be put off by Atzini taking the ride for this horse?
Maybe the casual punters. I don't think any other punters will be, if I'm being honest. I think Atzini's class on his day. I mean, I remember Stradivarius' last Goodwood Cup that he won, when I thought Atzini had just about stolen it on Naif Road. I do think Atzini's great in these staying races. I mean, he's proved it on board Naif Road, who definitely doesn't have anything in his armoury like Stradivarius does. Hopefully he'll be able to do it, and hopefully he'll go out with a bang.
Oh, honestly, I mentioned it in the anti-post video, but just with regards to the atmosphere when this horse won his 3rd Goodwood Cup, obviously we weren't there for the 4th one due to COVID, but when we were there, the atmosphere when he won it, the place went absolutely mad. I do not know what is going to happen if this horse wins a 5th Goodwood Cup. And as this horse retires as well, bought in front of the stands, the noise levels are going to be exceptional. I read in our local paper today this could be the best Glorious ever, and this could kick things off at what could be a fantastic week. Olivia, I know you're probably looking forward to previewing more of the international runners this week, but who do you like in the first big Group 1?
Well, I think all eyes will certainly be on Stradivarius. I think the crowd will be totally behind him. And if he wins, the atmosphere will just be electric. Kyprios, of course, is a strong rival after that Ascot Gold Cup victory. But from an international angle, a horse I'm going to be keeping an eye on is Away He Goes. He was second in this race behind Trushan last year, and then was aimed towards a tilt at the Melbourne Cup, even travelled down to Australia, but sadly picked up an injury before the race, so didn't end up running. The first time we saw him back at a racecourse since then was last month at Royal Ascot, where he finished 6th of 7 runners in the Hardwicke Stakes. But I'll be very interested to see how he performs back at Goodwood next week, and whether another attempt at an Australian campaign could be on the cards later this year.
Of course, she finds a way to get an international angle into the race somehow. She goes for a horse at 33 to 1. But in all fairness, Jack, with regards to this race, I mean, if we can get free places, the bookmaker offers free places, and Trushan does come out of this race, it could be fairly open for that 3rd spot. And last year's second Away He Goes could be the one that, you know, could come through and nab it.
Yeah, 100%, especially if you go on anti-post now and you can get 3 places before. I think 100%. I can't see Stradivarius and Kyprios not being 1 and 2, mind. So hopefully for that 3rd place, Olivia's right.
There we go. Maybe not the biggest betting race of the week for us, but a race that we're all going to be cheering on Stradivarius. Hopefully you viewers are going to be cheering on as well. You may have a bet on Kyprios, but you are not going to be upset if Stradivarius goes and does the business. But it's going to be a hell of a first big Group 1 of the week, and I just hope he can get the job done. Let's head into day 2 of the festival now, and the feature is going to be the Sussex Stakes. We'll get onto that shortly. But we start off with the Whispering Angel Oak Tree Stakes, a Group 3 over 7 furlongs for the filly. Soft Whisper is your 4 to 1 favourite. Heredia is 6 to 1. Primo Baccio is 6 to 1. Bounce the Blues is 7 to 1. 10 to 1 about Oscula, Samharam and Benefit, and 12 to 1 and bigger the rest. Do you give permission for me to go first in this race? Go on.
I do. Yeah, go first, go on.
I really like Primo Baccio.
There's no way. There's no way.
Right, let me explain myself. Look, I actually do think that Primo Baccio is going to win this, right? And I'm going to... Oh, no. Right. I like the ground for her. I like the drop back to 7 furlongs. I like the drop in grade. I don't think it's the hottest race in the world. I think she's probably going to go and win this. And look, I'm going to go back to your quote. If you had ever told me, and when you spoke to Ed Walker and said, I think she's a Group 3 filly, and he said, for what it's worth, so do I would believe you. But you unfortunately said Group 1. But I've got a feeling she could be up for this. Look, I'll tell you what, I'm finished now. That's all I can say with regards to Primo Baccio. I am going to be putting her up for this race. Can you just carry it on for me and just, yeah, sorry.
Ladies and gents, I can't believe this. I feel like a proud dad. I've actually lost for words. You actually got me lost for words once in my life. It feels like I've got a tear in my eye. My baby girl you've put up to win at Goodwood in a Group 3 after you've given me so much rubbish about her.
She can win a Group 3. You've been tipping her up in Group 1s.
Oh, goodness me. Shall I tell you what the worst thing is? The worst thing is I'm not probably going to tip her up as well.
It's even better.
I tell you what, if Primo Baccio had her day in the sun in the oak tree, I don't think you'd actually find me at Goodwood on the Thursday. Honestly, I'd be in Ibiza, I'd be in, I don't know where I'd be, but just know I'm having a great time. Me and Ed, hopefully Richard Kingscote's on board, Andrea Azzini, one of the two. But wow, I actually don't know if I want to talk about the race anymore, Sam. That is just...
I think if you didn't fancy her, the fact you don't, like, you'd love her to win, but maybe it isn't your fancy for the race. But if it's the day where you don't fancy her and I do, and she goes and wins, it's just made to happen.
Look, she has that Group 1 form, doesn't she? I thought she was actually going to go and win the Falmouth at one stage last time out. But Yeah, a bit ambitious, call me that. But look, she has the Group 1 form. She's dropping back to 7 furlongs on the gid to firm ground. It's going to be perfect for her, isn't it? But hopefully she's able to do the business. I mean, Heredia is very interesting. Stepping back in trip, obviously, was very disappointing after her win in the Sandringham last time out of Sandown. I think the win in the Sandringham probably took its toll last time out. I think the drop back in trip won't be an issue. Hopefully she'll be able to show that turn of foot. I'm not too sure if it's definitely the plan. You've said it probably is the plan.
I would have thought so, yeah, from what it sounded like they were thinking that race could be.
So yeah, that's very interesting. Of course, you've got the French raider for Francis Graffard as well in there, which is also very interesting because I know the French have a decent record in this race. But look, I'd love Primo BACIO to go and win. But I do think Benefit has a brilliant chance at a double-figure price at 10-1. Now she needed the run on seasonal reappearance, but then she was third to Flotus and Sense of Duty. Travelled like a dream at the rear of the field before running on to finish third. I thought she looked relatively classy when beating Nahar. Yes, Nahar's not the force of old at Salisbury last time out when she came and swept round the outside. I thought she did that in good style, and then her last 3 runs, if you look at them, she's actually clocked the fastest final 3 furlong splits out of any horse, out of any filly in the race on all 3 runs. And of course, you've got Flotus in there and Sense of Duty, who are both speedy fillies. So she's been hitting the line with plenty of conviction. I think she's been crying out for a step up to 7 furlongs. Ryan Moore's on board, importantly enough. And at 10-1, I quite like her each way chances. I think the step up and trip is going to be perfect to 7 furlongs. She's definitely on the up. She's an improving 3-year-old. She may just find Primo BACIO too good. But if not, I think 10-1's a good price.
Okay, this is going to be so. I cannot wait.
I can't recover from that. I can't recover from that.
Sorry, but yeah, Jack with Benefit. Well, I did find it interesting that Ryan Moore was already jocked up for that horse. The French raider is very interesting as well, but I just have this really weird feeling that Primo BACIO is going to go and do it. I know this horse's run at Goodwood already this season was very disappointing, but yeah, from what Ed Walker was saying was that he wasn't disappointed with this horse's run in the Falmouth. I think he thinks the drop back to 7 might help. The quick going is obviously going to help this horse, and just think out of her depth in the Falmouth, she really was. And
this is music to my ears.
This could be it. So
I've waited 2 years for this moment.
I mean, the thing is, you're tipping up a horse here. Like Jack, he'll claim this is the horse he actually thinks will win, but with his heart, he's going to be backing Primo BACIO on the day. That's all I know.
Till the cows come home.
Yeah, look, it's a fascinating race, but yeah, I'm going to be with Primo BACIO. Jack is going to be with Benefit, and that is enough said.
Oh, goodness me, the words "I'm going to be with Primo BACIO" I never thought would come out of your mouth.
That is enough said. Right, let's move on to the Markle Molecombe Stakes now. 5 furlong, Group 3 for 2-year-olds, and Rocket Rodney is your 2-1 favourite. Wallbank, the unlucky horse from Royal Ascot, is 100-30. Eddie's Boy 5-1. The Platinum Queen 9-1. Double figures and bigger the rest. All I'm going to say is come on, Rodders. Windsor Castle, that little big bear form is, yeah, very good. I mean, we've seen it all stand up, and Rocket Rodney came out of Sandown, did exactly what I was hoping, stayed near the front and just bolted clear. It's exactly what you're looking for from Goodwood. I was watching actually one of the Racing Post shows, the Flat Pack this week. They were talking about Goodwood pointers, and when it comes to the sprint track, you just want a horse that just bursts out and just bowls down that hill and absolutely flies home, and this is it. It really is. It's completely opposite on the round course. You're better off sometimes with a hold-up horse, but yeah, I think this horse is made for this race. We said it a while back as well, that if Rocket Rodney came here, it's going to be very hard to beat. I think 2-1 is actually a fair price. I texted you saying I'd probably back the horse if the horse was 11-8. So, you know, I've got to be saying that 2-1 is decent value with regards to this horse. I think one horse we've got to mention is Wallbank, who's the obvious danger in here. The controversial Norfolk won by the Riddler. I mean, some people saying that Wallbank wasn't the one that actually deserved the race, but Wallbank was very well fancied on the day. Do you think he could potentially be the one that just bounces back and takes Rocket Rodney on here?
Potentially, I do think Rocket Rodney's just going to win. I know it's not a very good way of sugarcoating it, but look, the Dragon Stakes has a perfect record on it, not perfect, but a great record coming into this race, and I do think the Molecombe is set up for him. One that I do find interesting is Michael O'Callaghan's Studio City. Of course, won it a couple of years ago, is still bull after just the one run, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But as you say, Wallbank's clearly going to win a group race. Is it going to be here? Probably not. Rocket Rodney has the course form, which I think is invaluable for a juvenile as well. You've got Eddie's Boy, who was third in the Windsor Castle that day as well, which is extremely interesting. And of course, Trillium, the sole filly entered. So that'll be interesting to see how she gets on. But I do think Rocket Rodney's completely the one to beat. As we both agree on, I think 2-1's a great price. I think he'll probably go off 11 to 8, 6 to 4. So I mean 2-1. If he's still available at 2-1, come the day, I'll be extremely surprised and up the Rodney.
Yeah, exactly, up the Rodders. And if Jack's horse GALERON wins the Vintage, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of money for Trillium, who is a horse that I thought a lot of when she last ran at Goodwood. So be a really interesting race, but I do think Rocket Rodney, it is a favourite, but I think that horse probably will go and win. Right, let's get on to the final race we're going to be previewing. It is the feature, probably the feature of the week. It's the Qatar Sussex Stakes, a Group 1 over a mile, and Baaeed is your 4 to 11 best price favourite. Qaribus 7 to 2, and then a big jump to Order Australia at 14 to 1. We've got July Cup winner and last year's Sussex Stakes winner Alcohol Free at 16 to 1. The Japanese raider Bafrat Leon, we'll hear more about that in a second. That horse is 40 to 1. Chindit and Sacred are also 40s, and then Angel Bleu is 66 to 1. Jack, it's all about Baaeed. He's the obvious choice at 4 to 11, but what could be the danger potentially in here?
Nothing. I really don't think Qaribus is going to put down any kind of challenge if he comes and performs as he does in the as he did in the St James's Palace. Baaeed, I mean, he just travels. He has a turn of foot. He stays a mile. He's going to love Goodwood. He loved it last year in the Thoroughbred when we were both there. Luckily enough, I mean, Qaribus, yes, he's the improving 3-year-old. He's a classic winner, but I just think Baaeed is just too good. Yes, of course, he'll have to give Qaribus £8. I think he'd probably give him £10. If I'm being honest, I think the Shadwell colours notoriously do so good in this Sussex Stakes. You look at the Mahatha win as well. I think William Haggis is going to have a winner, and hopefully an easy winner. I'm not sure if... I think he'll probably win by a length or two. I don't think it'll be ridiculously impressive. I don't think he'll win by 5 or 6 lengths. Of course, you have good old Order of Australia in there, and intriguingly enough, Alcohol Free stepping back up to a mile.
I loved last season. I really did love her, and I don't know about it. I'm not sure with regards to Alcohol Free. I was very impressed with the July Cup win. I did think the horse would need softer ground. I said that when we previewed the race, but yeah, could she do it again? I'm not sure. I think credit to the owners. I think this race, it could have cut up massively with Baaeed in here, and you could have had like a 4-runner race like we've had in previous years, especially when Frankel ran. And you mentioned with regards to Haggis looking to win this race for the first time, it was interesting hearing his quotes with regards to this race, saying that he watched Frankel back in 2011, 2012 and said that he won it like it was a piece of work, and he said that's how he wants it to work out and play out for Baaeed, and it could easily do so. He's a class above these. Qaribus is the obvious danger. A lot of people saying that, you know, Qaribus shouldn't have won the St James's Palace. There are plenty of others at 2, and the form might not be the best with regards to Qaribus. Do you think there's any chance that Qaribus could overturn him?
No, I honestly really don't. I think Baaeed is just a freak from nature. I think he's going to go out with a bang. He's going to be unbeaten. But one thing that is intriguing for me is that, of course, no one really likes to compare him to Frankel, except, it seems, as Twitter loves to say, the media. But I'd love to know, is there anything you think Baaeed can do from now until the end of his career to actually be compared to Frankel and everyone accept it? Or do you think because he's got the lack of a classic and because he hasn't done everything so destructively, he'll never be properly taken seriously in comparison to Frankel?
Oh, I just don't think that this horse will ever be to the stature of Frankel. Can I see statues of Baaeed throughout Newmarket? Can I see a statue of Baaeed at Ascot? No, I can't. Can this horse be considered a great? Of course he can. Of course he can, but what Frankel did throughout his career was just special. It wasn't just the fact that he won every race, it was the way he did it and the horses he was beating. The horses that he was beating were exceptional talents. Like, there were some great horses in those races, and I just think that Baaeed, yes, he's beating what's in front of him. There is nothing that's really stand out in the mile division, is there? And look, Qaribus is the one that's trying to stand out and try and beat him here, and probably is the one. This is probably going to be a new challenge to Baaeed, and maybe could be his toughest test yet, but we'll have to wait and see. And the one horse that is fascinating is the Japanese raider Bafrat Leon, who's been over here for quite a while. We're bringing no better time to bring Olivia here. Olivia, tell us a bit more about this horse.
Absolutely. So Bafrat Leon is the Japanese contender at Goodwood next week. He's trained by Mr. Yahagi, who has, of course, enjoyed huge success internationally in this past year at the Breeders' Cup, on Saudi Cup night in Riyadh, and on Dubai World Cup night, Meydan. And Bafrat Leon was actually one of those winners. He won the Group 2 Godolphin Mile when partnered by jockey Yusei Sakai, who partners him again at Goodwood next week. Before that win at Maidan though, his CV was slightly more mixed. There was a Grade 2 victory back in April 2021, but then a series of finishing further down the field and even unseating his rider once. He clearly enjoyed that trip to Maidan, so it will be interesting to see how he handles that switch back to the turf. And then we've recently learned that his next stop will also be France for the Prix Jacques Le Marois.
Yeah, it is exciting that he could be staying here in Europe for one more race. He could go to France for the Prix Jacques Le Marois. Do you think that Bafrat Leon really has a chance of beating Baid?
Well, the field for the race is looking exceptional, and Baid's CV speaks for itself. But the race is part of the Breeders' Cup Challenge Series. It's a win and you're in for the Fan Duel Mile. So personally, I would love to see a winner who could go on to Keeneland in November for the Breeders' Cup. What I would say though is with the success that Mr. Yahagi is enjoying internationally in this past year, I certainly wouldn't underestimate Bafrat Leon.
Olivia sounds like she'll be cheering the Japanese raider home. I guess he almost falls into one of those could be anything categories, Jack. It's one of those where, you know, we don't know too much about the Japanese form, how it compares to this. The horse won the Godolphin Mile in, I think it was a fair price that day, quite a big price. He won 66 to 1, yeah. And this horse is now coming on quick ground, which we know the Japanese horses will often like. Where do you sit with Bafrat Leon? Like, what are you kind of expecting on the day? It's a weird question to ask.
Oh, I'm expecting him to try and make all of the running and probably get picked off for about a furlong to go. Yes, he could be anything. He could try and make all and get an easy lead and snatch a place, but I just think Baid's probably going to pick him off.
Okay, right. Well, Baid looks the obvious choice. I'm going to be with Baid as well. It's not going to be a horse that I'm going to be backing. He's in my each way lucky 31 at better prices at 1 to 2.
Shorter prices.
Sorry, no. Better odds at 1 to 2. Actually, we haven't decided to forfeit for that. There needs to be one because at the moment you are looking ropey if you go back and look at that.
Mojo Star.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, that's a non-runner. No, well, it's not actually a non-runner. That's a loss, isn't it? An anti-post term. So unlucky there. It looks like you'll be facing a forfeit. So we need someone to decide what that's going to be. We'll have to wait and see. But that's it with regards to the preview of the big races. Jack hasn't got any other selections for the first 2 days.
I do have one actually.
See, you told me to start, you didn't, but now you've got one.
One handicap pick, because I remembered in the opener on the Wednesday, I actually fancy Surrey Mist to run a good race. I mean, the King George V at Ascot has always got a very good record coming into this. You look at Nagano, who won it last year. Who was second? Siskiny was second last year as well. Both come from the King George V. Of course, you have the winner of that come here in Secret State. I think it's Secret State, isn't it? It is Secret State indeed, but Surrey Mist ran a good race that day. Stepped back to a mile and a quarter at Ascot. Things didn't really quite work out well for him, but I mean, he's got some great form before that, and hopefully a mark of 90 underestimates his ability. Holly Dawes booked to ride, and I think you get about 16, 20 to 1 at the moment. So yeah, hopefully he'll be able to go well.
Ah, there we go. Okay, I like one in the opener for both days. Start off with the Tuesday, the 150, which is the Coral Chesterfield Cup handicap. I like the chance of Protagonist for the William Haggis stable here. 7 to 1 currently, not the best price in the world in a handicap, but look, had his first run for Haggis at Sandown back in July, finishing 4th off a mark of 89. Now the horse has been kept on that mark, and this was its first run for Haggis after switching from Jesse Harrington's yard. If you go back and watch the race at Sandown, there was no clear run that day, held up in rear and finished well. Considering what happened, actually finished very well. Been kept on that mark of 89, like I say. We know what Haggis can do with horses that are transferred to him. We look at that horse from last weekend, Grocer Jack, who, you know, that horse is running Riyadh and Chantilly and now really shown that he could be up to top class, you know, group class. I'm very excited by that, and I just think this horse could show improvement for Haggis. I just think that a Class 2 handicap he ran the last day, it might not have been the best race, but Protagonist is better than that, I think, and an 89 may be a bit lenient. So I expect Tom Marquand to potentially have a winner just before he's going to go and ride the Lennox winner, hopefully on Sacred. We'll have to wait and see. And the other race is the opening race on Wednesday, which is the 1.5 mile 3-year-old handicap that you just mentioned. And it's Luminous Light for Mark and Charlie Johnson. We have to get them in on both parts of the preview. At least I've managed to do it. They have 6 entries, and yes, it's hard to find which one you're going to like. It's always hard with them. And it's in the colours that they tend to appear up a lot for them during Goodwood week. The horse is 25 to 1, was third behind Box to Box at Chester, who has since come out and won at Chester again, rated 91. Then after that was beaten by Weight to Excel. That horse has been rated 92. Luminous Light is rated 85. Was very keen in the last 2 runs. But a horse that I think if he can get an easy lead, like the Johnsons like to do at Goodwood, and we've seen them do it plenty of times in these colours at big prices, I have a feeling he could be hard to catch. That's Luminous Light in the opening race on Wednesday. But like I say, the Johnsons have got 6 entries in that race, and it's a race that they do like to win as well.
Yeah, the one that intrigued me there is Knightswood.
Yeah, that was the other one that would be that. I think is that the shortest price of that lot?
Yeah, I think it is. But I remember at Newmarket they jocked Frankie up on board so early, and I thought it was really eye-catching. Only finished 8th that day, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on as well.
It will be, and I'm sure you're going to hear more about our selections from other races and handicaps. So like I say, in part 2, we've got 3 days to be previewing. I'm sure you'll hear Charlie and Mark Johnson's name again during this.
So much.
Yeah, hopefully so. We'll probably find a couple more in handicaps towards the back end of the week, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm hoping it hasn't got too dark out here on the evening. I have to play with the brightness, but thanks so much for all the ongoing support. We'll be back, like I say, on Monday night with our preview of part 2 of Goodwood. Really looking forward to getting stuck into that and the Stewards Cup, which is going to be an absolute minefield. Do like and subscribe as always, and we'll see you on Monday for our part 2 Goodwood preview.